CELPIP speaking is one of the hardest modules of the exam, and this is where most people fail. If you make these 5 mistakes that we'll discuss right now, you will fail too. This exam requires a very exceptional level of speaking, and there are lots of templates that you can use to improve your speaking. If you haven't checked those, check them out in our YouTube channel, HZad Education CELPIP Speaking Template. But I want to get started with the reasons for failure, and the first reason is ums. Using too many ums or fillers is a big reason why many people fail. Ums, you know, like, and even so. Using the word so when it doesn't need to be used is a problem. If I say so in terms of a conclusion, I did this, so I want this. That's okay. It's not perfect because you should have a better word than so. You could use therefore, hence, or thus. But if you do say so there, it's not entirely wrong. But it is entirely wrong when you use it when there's no need for it, just as a filler. Especially when people start sentences with so, that's a big issue. So I wanted to tell you about there's no sense of using so here, and it's becoming very common. It's something that as an English teacher, it really annoys me when people say so, blah, blah, blah. It also shows a lack of confidence. It shows that you need a filler to start. It doesn't show authority or assertiveness. It looks to me as if it's very weak when anyone starts a sentence with so, and I hate it personally. But the most important thing is not me, but the CELPIP examiners, they hate it as well. Don't say so, and don't say ums. Don't use these kinds of fillers. Speaking of fillers, you should also avoid the term etc. I can tell you this as an employer, and other employers say the same thing. Don't use the word etc. If it's in interviews, this is kind of like your interview as well. Using etc. is also considered a filler word because it just shows that you don't know what else to say. When you say things like etc. and other stuff and things like that, you're just speaking in general terms, just like saying It's better you give the entire list until the end, or you don't say etc. Replace it by something that is more of a realistic nature, tangible or intangible. For example, I want to say I need to buy a lot of things today, fruits, vegetables, and apples, and etc. Instead of this, I can just say fruits and vegetables. That includes all the other stuff, apples and potatoes and whatever. So I wouldn't need to say etc. if I can just use a general term that would summarize whatever I need to say next. Okay. Instead of ums, try to say try to use connectors or try to use pauses. Pauses show strength, they show confidence, and it'll be more easy for you to speak because when you do pauses, you will be able to take a deep breath, relax, and continue with the next few sentences. All right, the next thing is the range. We have discussed on this channel range of vocabulary many times, and if you want a complete detailed lesson on the range of vocabulary, check out the link in the description. In our CELPIP 15-hour course, this area is tackled very diligently. Everything you need to know about the range, and it's a very, very detailed 1-hour lesson. It's included in the course, and right now the course is at a discount. When you go to that link, you will see the discount code on the website. But in this video, I'll just briefly tell you that two things, there's like 10 plus things you need to do for the range, but two things that I'll mention here because they're very important and mostly ignored are the use of adjectives and adverbs because most people don't use them. So adjectives are your qualities: good, bad, happy, sad, brilliant, and so on. Adverbs are your lees. So these things would be effectively, greatly, slowly, quickly. Anything with a lee shows how a verb is done, how an action is done. I talk quickly, I talk slowly, and so on. Most people don't use these adverbs and adjectives, and that's why the range of vocab is greatly affected. Most answers or most sentences are simply this person does this, he did this, and I did this, I suggest this. You can see it's a bunch of nouns and verbs. That's most common, and that is where range does not occur. So you want to use a good range using adjectives and adverbs. So this is the second biggest mistake, people not focusing on the range of vocabulary and sentences. The third thing is timing. The rule for timing is simple. You want to start as soon as the timer starts, okay? You don't want to pause at all, just start when the time starts. Because what it shows the examiner is if you pause, you are using that time just to fill in the time. You're going to start 5 seconds later. You're just stalling so that you don't speak and your mistakes don't get diagnosed. And that's very clear to the examiner. When you finish, you want to finish 5 seconds before the actual finish time. You can time yourself. Every time you do this, you will realize you'll try to leave 5 seconds before the finish time. You will actually end up taking even that, and you might just be left with 1 to 2 seconds. This is very common. It happens with me too, by the way. So if you imagine set a range of a minute for a minute of question, you would actually finish a minute and 2 seconds, and those 2 seconds will not be recorded and you will lose marks. So when you practice at home, try to finish 5 seconds ahead of the finish time, and that will eventually bring you to the actual time where you have to finish. Okay, so start on time and finish on time. You want to talk during the entire length. Then we come to and. So this is the fourth reason why a lot of people fail. It's just one word, but this one word leads to a lot of failures in the CELPIP speaking exam. People say and so many times. It is very excessive. It's when you're connecting every single sentence, even when people use it with a connector. When you say therefore, a lot of people say and therefore, and also. The whole purpose of connectors, also, therefore, and so on, is that you don't say and, but you still say and. And this is something that really defeats your momentum. It defeats your range of connectors that you could have used. And the best thing is you could have just done pauses instead of using and. If you don't want to use pauses, you can use connectors. And the connectors are, again, all those conjunctions. We have a lesson on that on our channel as well. You can check that out. Using both conjunctions and pauses is even better because you then show the examiner versatility, you show them a range, okay? Don't say and. This one word can really just defeat all your efforts in getting a good mark. Of course, at times you would have to use it, just don't overdo it because most people overdo it, and especially don't do it at the start of sentences. Use something more creative like a conjunction. Okay, the final reason why a lot of people fail is quantity over quality. A common misconception in CELPIP speaking is we need to do lots of points. The more points we do, the more marks we will get. That is absolutely incorrect. If you check out our blog, and the link for that is in the description, I just made a post about this, CELPIP quality versus quantity, where I detailed how many points are required by each question. So check that out. But for example, I always bring up question number 2 because that's where mostly this happens. When you're talking about your favorite vacation, car, whatever, people do like 5 to 6 points in a minute. That is not enough time. You're only supposed to do 2 to 3 points, okay? In task 1, you're only supposed to do 3 points, and you can even do 2. I prefer 3. And that's all. You need to make sure you do less points with more description, explanation, and quality versus doing more points, which will be short sentences without much description, without quality. Lesser points explained nicely with long sentences, complex sentences, and a mixture of simple sentences would be way better than doing short sentences, 1 point, short sentence, 1 point, short sentence. Obviously, the more points you have, the shorter your sentences will become because you're trying to finish it in a minute or 90 seconds. So you would sacrifice the quality. So don't do that. Make lesser points, but use better quality. So guys, avoid these 5 things if you want to pass the CELPIP speaking. I know a lot of people struggle with that. Most people, it's definitely most people. There's 2 cases I would say is the most. One would be people who pass all modules and fail in the CELPIP speaking. The other are people who pass reading and listening and fail writing and speaking. So these 2 modules, writing and speaking, are very challenging and difficult. We do have the most advanced and the most complex templates and strategies with all shortcuts and explanations in the link in the description. Check that out and avail this course at a huge discount right now. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to email us. Email is also in the description. Please subscribe, like, and share. We'll talk very soon.